Hi everyone, it's Vardha Sharma here. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. I hope you all have been staying well and being crafty. Today I've got a new card tutorial for you, which I hope you will enjoy. So let's get started. The idea for today's card is to be able to create a mini slimline card, which is 3.5 by 6 inches, using a letter size cardstock, which is 8.5 by 11 inches. So as you can tell, the 6 inches side, the longer side, we cannot accommodate with the 11 inches cardstock as it is. So we are going to do a little something to fix that and still be able to create a mini slimline card with a regular cardstock that most of the crafters in US have on hand. What you see me doing here is trying to cut my cardstock at 3.5 inches on the longer edge. So the width of my card is 3.5 inches. When I fold this at 6-inch mark, this is going to give me a 6-inch height of my card. The reason you see me use that thumb knife here is only because my trimmer was acting up. The blade were not able to do a clean cut for my heavyweight cardstock, which is 110-pound cardstock. See, I'm struggling right there. So I just gave up on it, and I actually destroyed another cardstock in the process. So gave up on it, used the thumb knife. I still did not get a very nice clean edge, and I rectified that by using my guillotine trimmer to shave off just a hair on the side that was not clean. But you'll see me do that in a little bit. That's the workaround I used for getting the card base created. Hopefully you don't have to struggle with all this, and if you do end up in a situation where you have to create a card base but your trimmer acts up, this can be another option. So that's what I did. The next step I did was to fold my card at 6 inches, not at 5.5, at 6 inches, so that one side of my card, which I'm going to make it as the card front, is going to be slightly shorter than my back side. But that is okay. That is what we want, and we are going to fix it just in a little bit. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm using my bone folder to crease the side, and then I took it to my guillotine trimmer to get a clean edge. The next step I wanted to do was to add embossing details to the card front. If I use this card base, which is 110 pound, which is pretty heavy, quite a thicker card base, if I use it directly with my embossing folder, then I'm going to get like cracks in my cardstock. I wanted to avoid it, so I used one of the tricks that Yana Smukula has demonstrated often, where you spritz a little bit of water. Don't make it too damp, you don't want it dripping, but spritz a little bit of water and then wipe it down and then run it through the embossing folder. That's what I did. I'll link to all the supplies below because I don't remember all the actual names of these supplies, but that's what I was trying to do. The initial idea was to use another embossing folder to add the florals on top. Halfway through I discarded that idea, but I still continued with the plan that I want to create a mini slimline card. And what you see me doing there is I used hot foiling to add my sentiment on a heat resistant acetate by Hero Arts. So that's what I did. It is typically acetate that you would use for heat embossing, but since it takes heat beautifully, it also works for cold foiling or whatever hot foiling that we do with Glimmer machine. That's what I did. And then I wanted to add that little piece in between so that now my card sits nicely at 6 inches on both sides. So what I did was, there is a little bit of a gap between the front and the back in terms of height. I fixed that gap with this acetate piece which has the sentiment. You could do this in so many different ways. You can add a little bit of a border with a card or pattern paper, another cardstock if you want to add color that way. You can go so many different ways how you're going to make up for that little difference between the front and the back. The way I did it for this particular one, which worked for my overall design, was I simply took an acetate piece. I wanted it to have that transparent element on the front, like a window element on the front. So I did that, and then I adhered the two pieces to the middle of the card front, so that I made up for the height difference, and it also added that interesting element to my card. What you see me do here is hold the two pieces in place so that they are nice and flush, and I get perfect straight edges. Well, it's not really straight. I can't do straight, but it's not really straight. It's close enough, and I was able to hold it in place. It did not work on the surface properly, so I shifted to this magic mat, but eventually I was able to get it to behave, and then I added my sentiment on top. Since I had added this sentiment strip on top of my card base, I wanted to hide that little adhesive that can be seen from the back of it. So what I did was I actually covered it up. That's what you do when you're a paper crafter, right? Whatever you want to show, you show. Whatever you want to hide, you just add something on top. So when I was able to fix the acetate flush, and you can see that now the card base is actually, or the card itself is actually 3.5 by 6 inches. So that's how I made the card work. And then I added more double-sided tape on top, added some more gold washi tape on top. The reason I added more more adhesive before adding washi tape was I wasn't 100% sure of the tackiness of the adhesive on that washi tape. I did not want it to come off loose, so I added a little bit of a very strong double-sided tape on top to hold it nice and flush, and that's how I secured my gold washi tape. This added just a little bit of emphasis and also kind of brought out the gold in the gold foiling. I often like to do this. So if I'm adding any kind of bling, I like to have a couple different styles or textures of the same color. So the gold on the washi tape is really glittery, whereas on the foil is really smooth. I love to do that very often. Next, I wanted to add embellishments. I picked up an old Spellbinders kit. I think it was a small die of the month kit for one of the previous years, and I die cut. No, I did not die cut. I am recovering from a surgery. I could not do it myself. My 12-year-old agreed to help, and she helped me die cut all these pieces, and I went ahead and I assembled the florals. These are some of my all-time favorite florals because they have that really nice, happy kind of a face, and there is very beautiful etching on each of these petals. I'll show you just in a little bit. So once I have this all assembled, and then this etching adds really nice interest to these florals. So instead of just doing any flat kind of florals, I added this dimensional florals, so to say, to my card front. Also, at this point, I discarded the idea of using another cutout from another embossed image. That idea is coming, but I did not think it was best for this particular card, mainly because I was not getting something tall enough, or that whole making up the height from the bottom to that thank you was not working out with those embossed florals cutouts that I had. Had I planned it a little bit differently, I could have probably pushed that thank you down below and it could have worked, but by this time I was too far gone into this process of card, so I just worked with it and I changed my embellishment or the florals that I wanted to embellish, and I just changed course a little bit over here and decided to just go with it. So what I did was I created two complete florals, and then I also skipped the back petal on one of them to create like a tiny little bud. That's what I was showing just a minute ago. And I made sure that if I have done something like adding a strip of adhesive behind to hold the stock in place, that is not showing through the back side of my acetate. So I made sure it lies on top of that gold um, glitter tape that you see there, and it's not really showing from behind or showing from the inside of this card. So I mounted the florals, um, the two flowers, sorry, the two flowers that I have already are dimensional, but this one was a little bit flat because it did not have any second petal, so to say. So I just foam mounted that one, and then I went ahead and added some more green leaves and adjusted the stalk, and also completed with more leaves. What you see me do here is just add glue so that everything stays nice and flush, hold it in place. Those stalks are really tiny, slim, and my background is embossed, so it takes a little bit of a time for that glue to dry properly, so I was just helping that. Beyond this point, I think it is pretty much self-explanatory whatever I'm doing, so I'm going to take a break, a little bit of a break from talking and let you guys watch what's going on. Oh, one very important tip there. I used multimedia matte glue. That is my favorite liquid glue because it dries completely clear. You will not see any glue residue there. So that's what I used. For a minute there, I considered putting like gold gems. Did not like the look of it much. So I simply added the little yellow dots that were die cut along with the centers of those flowers, and I completed the card front. Next, what I did was I added a little bit of a place or a white note card on the inside to write my message. That also helped me highlight my gold um, hot foiled sentiment on the acetate. So that's what you see me doing here. I added a little bit of something inside, like a small note card on the inside where I'm going to write my message. So that's what you see me doing here. When I try to wing the sizes of my cards, so that is how I do it. I actually just measure it with the card base and then scoot it so that I measure it properly, and then fold it first and like emphasize the score properly so that it doesn't open in a weird angle, and then I added it to the inside of my card. Yeah, this is another trick I learned from, I think, Becca Fegan. So I don't adhere the complete length of my tape. I'm sorry, you can see my gray hair in between as I try to center this properly. I'm sorry about that. So I don't adhere, as I was saying, I don't adhere the whole length of the tape inside, just a little bit, so that if I have to move, if I have to remove and move the things, I am not doing too much damage. And once I have that in place, then I remove rest of everything. So that's how the final card looks. I hope you liked the way this card came together, and I hope you enjoyed watching me create it. Hopefully this should give you some idea on how you can stretch your regular letter size cardstock to create a mini slimline card, which is all the rage right now. All the actual supplies that I have used will be listed down in the description box below. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and thanks for all your support of my little channel. Happy crafting! Bye!